You see, baby, I don't do this just for people to notice me. You know, those tight swimming shorts are made of like nylon or whatever. Yeah, so, he really seriously tried to make me naked, man. See, he came into the trailer and I was sitting down, right? He's standing over me like this. And he's like, I don't like that, man. I don't like that. Tommy Davidson tells us about the one co-star he really hated the most. And the answer might surprise you. From being embarrassed on the set of In Living Color to almost getting into a fight during Booty Call. Tommy says what happened with Jamie Foxx left him hurt for a long time. You know what I mean? So for 2 seconds I turned around and I was like, but the problems didn't stop there. He also had a scary fight with Will Smith that nobody could explain. We should talk about it. Me and you outside because it looked like you're going to need to get something off your chest, right? And then Jada was like, no, 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 y'all. And I was like, what do you mean? No, y'all. Tell him. He fought with TV networks like Bet and Disney for respect and got in trouble for making jokes about sensitive topics like gender and assault. And under all that, he had a childhood where he was sexually abused, something he's only now brave enough to talk about. You see, baby, I don't do this just for people to notice me. Comedian Tommy Davidson has been working in entertainment for many years. Most people know him for his funny parts on shows like In Living Color and movies like Booty Call. This is Ration's friend Buns, but behind all the jokes and laughs, Tommy has also had some really hard and awkward times with famous coworkers. In a very honest interview, he talked about some of those moments, especially with actors Jamie Foxx. The way I've been looking at it, is that what you've been doing? Guys, is he watching out for me? Is that why you get paid twice what I do? And Will Smith. So, the truth is, I was arrested for not paying parking tickets. His stories show us the dark side of working in Hollywood, where things aren't always as friendly or happy as they look on TV. Tommy Davidson sat down with Vlad TV to tell his story. He started by talking about how his work relationship with Jamie Foxx was rough right from the start. Most people who watched them perform together thought they worked great together and were a perfect comedy team. But Tommy said that wasn't always true. He said they had problems as early as their very first comedy sketch. He made it clear that there were warning signs even from day one, while some people think their problems started later. Tommy said things were already tense during their early work together. One of the most famous parts of their work was a sketch called The Ugly Woman Skit. This sketch became really popular. With fans in it, Jamie Foxx played a loud and crazy woman, and Tommy played the man who wanted to get away from her. It was funny on the surface and got lots of laughs, but Tommy revealed that something disturbing happened behind the scenes. He explained that during the sketch, he wore only a pair of small tight shorts, what he called Speedos, as part of his costume. At one point, his character had to run away from Jamie's character, but then something happened that shocked him. You know, Speedos are made of like nylon or whatever. Yeah, so, he really seriously tried to make me naked. Man, Tommy said, that during this scene, Jamie tried to pull off his Speedos in front of everyone. This wasn't part of the script or the plan. Tommy had to hold on tight to his shorts so they wouldn't come off. He felt embarrassed and said it was a moment where he lost his sense of safety and respect at work. He said he was so embarrassed and mad that he almost fought back physically. The way Jamie acted in that moment made him feel violated. He didn't expect that something that was supposed to be a funny sketch would turn into something that felt so wrong and personal. You know what I mean? So, for 2 seconds, I turned around, and I was like, even though he felt like fighting back, Tommy chose not to. He explained in the interview that he had a quick moment where he thought about punching Jamie, but he decided against it. He said that if he had done that, the fight would have been remembered forever and might have ruined both of their careers. He showed a lot of self-control in that moment. This decision to walk away from violence was important for him. It showed how much pressure he was under and how deeply that experience hurt him. He didn't want to become known as someone who got into a fight on set, even if he felt disrespected. Later on in his 2020 book, Living in Color, What's Funny About Me?, Tommy talked more about what happened with Jamie Foxx. In the book, he said Jamie is very talented but also very competitive. Tommy said that Jamie's sense of humor could be mean and that he often made fun of people in ways that weren't nice. According to Tommy, Jamie realized that teasing or bullying him made the creator of In Living Color, Keenan Ivory Wayans, laugh. So Jamie kept doing it even when it hurt Tommy's feelings. Tommy felt that Jamie was trying to get attention or approval by putting him down. Tommy also shared another story in the book about working with Jamie years later in the movie Booty Call. This is Ration's friend Bunzi. Even though time had passed, things didn't get better between them. He said that Jamie didn't like being seen as just a supporting actor in the film. Tommy felt that Jamie was trying to steal every scene and be the center of attention. It was like Jamie didn't want to share the spotlight. One day, things got really intense between them. Jamie challenged Tommy to a game of one-on-one basketball. First, it was just a fun game, but then it turned serious. Tommy said that during the game, he was winning 9-0. When he went up for a shot, Jamie suddenly ran into him very hard. Tommy believed that if he had fallen and hit his head on the ground, he could have been badly hurt or even died. He was so angry that he almost fought Jamie right there, but the film crew stepped in and separated them. It was another moment where things got out of control. Jamie's actions once again made Tommy feel unsafe, and it was clear their relationship had deep problems. After the book came out, Tommy had an interview with Page 6. They asked him if Jamie had contacted him about the things he wrote. Tommy said no, he never heard from Jamie, but he also said that he didn't write those things to be mean or to throw shade. He said he shared his story to help others. He wanted people to learn from what he went through. The book wasn't about blaming others, but about showing how he overcame problems in his life. Tommy wanted readers to understand his journey and maybe find strength in their own struggles. 2. Tommy said in that interview that he is now at peace. With everything that happened between him and Jamie, he no longer holds anger in his heart. He even mentioned that he saw one of the Wayans brothers recently, and there was no bad blood. They still care for each other. Tommy said he's learning to be happy even if the world doesn't change for him. This showed that he is trying to move on and find peace even after going through tough times in Hollywood. Tommy has also talked about the pressure he felt working with Jamie. He said that all the other actors worked very hard just to keep up with Jamie. Jamie had lots of energy and wanted to be the best. So, everyone else felt they had to push themselves even harder. But when he came to the show, he came with fire. He came with all of what he had, and was turning it out. It wasn't easy to be around someone so competitive all the time. It created a stressful work environment where people didn't always feel supported or respected. This constant pressure added to the problems Tommy already faced while working with Jamie. I got to quit eating them pig's feet. My gas is kicking out. But Jamie Foxx wasn't the only celebrity that Tommy had a difficult time with. He also told a surprising story about Will Smith. It happened when Tommy acted with Jada Pinkett Smith, Will's wife, in the 1998 movie, Woo. Jada Pinkett Smith is Woo. There's something special about her, so what she got? There's a vibe there. In one of the scenes, Tommy and Jada had to kiss. It was just acting, but Will didn't like it. Tommy said that Will came into his trailer and stood over him in a threatening way. Will told Tommy, "I don't like that." But he didn't explain what he meant. Tommy was confused and kept asking what was wrong, but Will wouldn't answer. Tommy said that Will stood over him while biting his lip, looking angry. Jada was there too, and tried to calm things down. Tommy didn't understand why Will was upset until 15 years later. He found out that Will was mad about the kissing scene in the movie. Tommy said that the kiss wasn't even planned ahead of time. The producers told them to do it at the last minute and there was no time to practice. It made the scene awkward for everyone, especially Jada, but even though it was just part of the job, Will got angry anyway. See, he came into the trailer and I was sitting down, right? He's standing over me like this and he's like, "I don't like that, man, I don't like that." Before including this story in his book, Tommy called Will's close friend, Charlie Mack. He asked if it was okay to share what happened. Charlie said yes and that both actors had given their permission. Tommy added this story to his book to show how sometimes even small moments in Hollywood can turn into big problems. He believed that Will's anger came from not understanding that the kiss was just acting. Tommy said he didn't mean any harm and it wasn't personal. But because Jada didn't fully explain the situation to Will, it caused a misunderstanding. "We should talk about it. Me and you outside because it looked like you're going to need to get something off your chest, right?" And then Jada was like, No, you'll. And I was like, "What do you mean? No, y'all, tell him." Some fans who heard Tommy's story blamed Jada for not telling Will the whole truth. One fan wrote that they loved Tommy Davidson and thought it was wrong that Jada didn't explain to Will that the kiss was just part of the movie. They said Jada's actions were childish and that Tommy didn't deserve the anger that was directed at him. This shows that even fans can see how things in Hollywood can be more complicated than they seem. One small moment can create tension and hurt feelings if people aren't honest with each other. The Proud family, he was the voice of Oscar Proud, the loud and funny dad on the cartoon. "Oscar, what are you yelling about now?" The show was a big hit and loved by both kids and adults, but behind the scenes, Tommy had lots of problems with the people in charge. He said he didn't feel respected or paid fairly. He had issues with big companies like Disney and Fox. Tommy believed he helped make the character special and gave it life, but the studio didn't treat him like someone important. They made money from the show, but he felt like they didn't want to give him the same respect or pay. He once said, "I created that character. They didn't see the value in us." What he meant is that even though he worked hard and made the show better, the people in charge didn't appreciate him because he was a black man talking about black family life. He wanted to show a loving, caring black father, but he felt the studio didn't want to support that idea fully. They saw his work as just another cartoon, not as something meaningful. Spike Lee, a quiet clash over comedy style. Tommy also had a quiet but strong disagreement with famous director Spike Lee. I didn't know what the subject matter was going to be, but I knew the film would be called Do the Right Thing. Spike Lee is known for making serious movies about black people and their struggles. Tommy is a comedian. He likes to make people laugh and bring joy. He felt like Spike didn't respect funny black entertainers. Tommy once joked that Spike Lee doesn't laugh unless it's at a revolution. That means he thought Spike only liked serious stuff and didn't think comedy was important. This was a small way of showing how different their ideas were. Spike believed in showing the pain and truth of black life in movies, while Tommy believed in showing the love and laughter, too. Tommy wanted to prove that black people can be strong and smart and still have fun. He didn't like being looked down on just because he was making people laugh. Even though they never had a big fight in public, people could see the tension in how they talked about each other's work. Another problem Tommy had was with the Bet Network. Bet is a TV channel that shows programs for black audiences. But Tommy didn't like how they were doing things. He said Bet wasn't showing real smart comedy. He felt the shows were filled with silly jokes and bad acting. He called it foolishness. Disguised as black entertainment, that means he thought they were making fun of black people instead of lifting them up. Tommy wanted black comedians to be seen as smart and talented, not just used for cheap laughs. This made some people at Bet very upset. Some of the producers and other comedians didn't like that he spoke out. It caused fights behind the scenes, especially on shows like Comic View where Tommy used to perform. Some comics agreed with him, but others thought he was being too harsh. Tommy faced lots of criticism on the internet. In some interviews and podcasts, people say he made comments that weren't thoughtful or respectful. One of the things he said that made many people angry was about making jokes on serious topics like rape. Many listeners felt this was wrong and hurtful. He said comedians are being canceled for no reason, but many people disagreed. They believe that making jokes about something as painful as sexual assault is never okay. His comments made people on social media very upset, and many called him out for being insensitive and careless. How many people turned 15 in that apartment in 1 week? Mexico is not on the moon. It's a country with a culture. The LGBTQ community also had problems with some of Tommy's jokes. During his stand-up shows, he made jokes about people's gender and the use of pronouns like they, them. These jokes made some audience members feel uncomfortable or disrespected. People online, especially on platforms like TikTok and Twitter, now called X, said his jokes were old-fashioned and even mean. They believe these types of jokes can make people feel unsafe or ashamed of who they are. Some fans who used to support him now say they are disappointed. They feel he should understand that times have changed and people want to be treated with respect. Tommy has also talked a lot about cancel culture. This is when someone loses support after saying or doing something offensive. He thinks cancel culture is unfair and says comedians should be allowed to say anything, even if it makes people uncomfortable. He once said, "Comedy is supposed to be uncomfortable. That's the point. If you're not mad, I'm not doing my job." Well, when I was a little kid, I'd be at the dinner table and I say something serious and everybody start laughing. I never wanted to be a comedian because I thought everybody was laughing at me. Many young comedians and online influencers don't agree with him. They feel he is ignoring the fact that some jokes really hurt people. Because of his strong views, Davidson has gotten into arguments with some younger people in the comedy world. They believe comedy can still be funny without making fun of serious things or hurting others. His comments have led to even more backlash, with many calling him out for not changing with the times. Tommy, in an interview, shared that he was molested by several men when he was just a small boy. He said, "There was a part in my book where I said I was abused by some men as a small kid. This is something very difficult for anyone to talk about." But Tommy was brave enough to share his truth. He didn't share many details because he doesn't remember everything clearly. He explained that his mind blocked out most of the memory. This happens sometimes when something very painful happens at a young age. Tommy said that he knows it happened, but he doesn't remember where exactly or who the men were. "I don't really remember, like in detail, but I do know they came at me sexually. It was more than one and it happened more than once," he said. He explained that the men were strangers, people he didn't know. This made it even harder because there's no clear memory of how or why it happened. He doesn't even remember if it was at school or somewhere else. The memories are very blurry, and that's how his brain protected him from the pain. He made it clear that just because he doesn't remember everything doesn't mean it didn't happen. He said, "It doesn't say nothing about me. It says something about this crazy society." Tommy believes that society has many problems and childhood abuse is one of them. He talked about how important it is to protect children. What happened to him made him realize that he needs to keep his own kids safe. He doesn't want them to go through what he went through. That experience taught him to be more alert and careful as a father. Tommy also talked about how sexual abuse is part of a much bigger problem in the world. He said, it's just as common and serious as racism and classism. That sexual abuse piece is just as real as racism, he explained. Many people talk about race or money problems, but not enough people talk about child abuse. It's a quiet problem that happens more than we think. He wants people to understand that this issue is part of the bigger picture, and it's not just about one bad thing that happened. It's about how broken parts of our world hurt children. For Tommy, learning about his past is important. You was left in the trash by your biological mother. Yeah, I was left in Mississippi found by a white woman. Yes, who was from Wyoming, right? He said he needs to understand what made him the person he is today. What's important for me is that I understand my picture. He shared he wants to look at all the parts of his life, both good and bad, so he can grow and become stronger. This helps him walk through life with more strength and purpose. When he knows what shaped him, he can handle anything life throws at him. I grew up in the Midwest up until I was 5 years old. So, I'm seeing horses and kittens and farms, and that's where I'm from. To explain how he deals with pain and struggles, Tommy used a funny image. He remembered a scene from a superhero movie where the Hulk slammed a bad guy on the ground again and again. He joked that life throws hard things at him, like the pain from his past. But now he's like the Hulk. When life attacks him with sadness, anger, or bad memories, he fights back strong. He doesn't let those feelings control him. He said, I just go bam, 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 and then life backs off and lets him enjoy time with his kids or grab a coffee. Tommy finished by saying that anger, self-hate, and pain try to come back sometimes, but he doesn't let them stay. Instead, he focuses on being happy and spending time with people he loves. Go hang out with your kids. Go to Starbucks. Just have fun, he said with a smile. Even though his past was painful, Tommy has learned how to stay strong and keep moving forward.